Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Chris, and in today's video it's all about ornaments. These ornaments I made to sell on one of my Whatnot auctions, and I will also let you know which one sold. Alright, let's begin with DIY number 1. So these are some IOD molds. This is the frames mold. I have been dying to do this project ever since I got these molds. I love vintage, I love antique, and I love French country, and I don't know if you all have ever seen those little Italian frames that people sell. They're really pretty brass frames. These are going to be a little different color, but I love them. So anyway, I'm going to grab them. I've already casted with some resin, and I am going to paint a white all-in-one paint all over, and then I'm going to grab some transfers, and this is out of the Kitschy transfer book. This was last year's Christmas release from IOD, and I'm just going to grab a couple little pieces. The gingerbread, the snowman, I mean, how can you resist either one? I will say that one of them did not quite make it to the end, but you know, we digress. So I'm just going to rub these on in their place. And I just use my little burnishing stick that you are supplied with by IOD when you buy a transfer, and just rub them on. And that is the reason I used an all-in-one paint with a sealer built in. It just makes it easier for the rub-on transfers to release from their carrier sheet, I have found. And I do want to mention that if you don't have these IOD transfers, then I know you can grab some on Amazon. I'm sure you can grab some off of Temu. So definitely stock up on some transfers. I love to work with them. Okay, so I'm going to show you this step in case you see this color on it here in just a bit. But I did start with painting the frame part of one of them in this antique gold, and I decided to completely change it. These ornaments went from one look to another. I'm telling you, I changed my mind so many times during the process of making these ornaments. So I just wanted to let you know, if you see some gold on it, that's why. And then on the other one, I wanted it to be red. So I grabbed this color Garnet from Paint Couture, and I painted that frame all red. Okay guys, so I didn't like the Garnet, not as a whole, maybe just to do little touches here and there, but I decided to go ahead and paint them over with a Marquee from DIY. So I got the gingerbread done, and then I thought I'd go ahead and do Aviary on the other one that still had the garnet on it. But as I was going over it, I was like, you know what? Last year I made some spindles in these colors, and they went pretty well. So I'm kind of liking that. I don't know if anybody else will, but I like the two colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that like that. And then I'm going to go over this one that I did in Marquee with the same Aviary. So we'll just do that. The only thing is I think they might come out a little different because of the two colors of red. And they did appear a little different. So I tell you, but I did. I added that Aviary, trying to get the similar look with the one I did in Garnet and Aviary. And by the way, I wasn't the only one that liked these. These did sell. Okay, y'all. I'm making more of a mess than anything. So I like this one. This is the one that I had the Garnet color from Paint Couture on and then went over with the Aviary. That one is pretty. And you can see the color difference because I did that in the Marquee and the Aviary. So you can definitely see the color difference from front and back. So if you want this look, then definitely use the Garnet, which I don't know where it's at because I've got such a mess going on. Here it is. I use the Garnet from Paint Couture and then go over it with the Aviary. Okay. This one's with the Marquee and Aviary. It's a little darker. I did try to go in it with some light brown sugar glaze from Paint Couture.
to eliminate some of the red that got in there. I'm not liking this one at all. This one I like. I'm just going to put a hanger on that and call that one done. This one, I don't know. I'm thinking about trying some Snow Tech and maybe putting some Snow Tech around the edges. I was going to do some of this string. I could always do that, but to me that just does not look good. I could try to do mute it with some of this light brown sugar, but I just don't think that'll look good enough. So no to the string. Okay, so after I tried those, I tried to wipe off the Snow Tech because I didn't like it. Then I got that red all over the inside. It was just getting worse and worse and worse. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start completely over. So this one, I just cleaned up as much as I could. I should have just taken it to the sink and cleaned it off, but I just wiped it up and cleaned it off the best I could. And I just repeated the process like I did on the first one, and I did have to change the transfer, and you'll see in the finale. Okay, so ornament number 2. These are the Baubles ornaments from IOD. And I've got the color Blue Pine from Fusion, and I'm just going to paint these ornaments in this color, front and back, but not the top part. I also did go ahead and put some eye hooks in the very top, and to put those eye hooks, after they cured enough to hold them, they were still pliable. I just went ahead and screwed some little eye hooks in the very top, and it was just easy peasy. But my thinking behind this one is, you know, those little like velvet looking ornaments that came out and got so popular last year? Well, that was kind of the idea I had. I absolutely love this blue pine color. I actually painted a jewelry box last year or earlier this year in that color, and it was absolutely beautiful. So I thought, let's go ahead and do these ornaments. But keep those velvety looking ornaments in mind when you see the finale of these. And once I've got those dried down, I'm going to grab Antique Gold from Paint Couture, and that is what I'm going to paint on the top. And I just kind of brought it around to the back side. And then I decided to go ahead and paint that eye hook in the same color. Now I've got the tinsel gilded transfer, and this is the first time I will be using one of these gilded transfers. So I wanted to make these ornaments elegant but simple. And so I'm just going to cut out a couple of words in here in light of the Christmas spirit. And then I just grabbed Joy and Noel. And once I have them positioned where I want them, I will just peel off that carrier sheet and start burnishing. Now, these are a little different to burnish, but no big deal. I found that if I concentrated on where the letters were and rubbed on that area more, then everything worked out just fine. I didn't have any issues. It did take a little bit longer to get these transferred, but that's okay. It all worked out. And once I got those on, I decided I needed a little something something. So I went back into the book and found some snowflakes, and I decided to just rub a snowflake on each of these ornaments. And I think that's just what they needed. So we have to seal in our transfers, and I'm going to grab the white wax, and I'm just going to pounce that all over the front of my ornaments. I don't do it on the top little hanger portion though. Once I get that on, I'm just going to grab a towel and I'm just going to wipe away a lot of the excess. And once I did this, that is when I thought it gave me that velvety look. I just thought it was so pretty. But then I just went ahead and did the same thing to the back. Now, just a word of advice, when you are rubbing off your wax, do it gently, maybe with a softer towel, because I did manage to pick up a couple little pieces off of one of my ornaments. It was okay. I was able to just kind of lay it back down and rub it, but just be careful. Now it's time to add a hanger. I've got this gorgeous gold chiffon ribbon that I got off Amazon, and I will try to link
all of my supplies in the description box, but I am just going to use this as the hanger, and then these will be complete, and I can't wait for you to see them in the finale at the end. So let's go ahead and move on to our third ornaments, which are going to be some more of these IOD frames from the frames mold. And I had already cast them, and I just used the quick set resin, which is a polyacrylic resin. So just keep that in mind. If it says polyacrylic, more than likely it's that 10-minute setting resin. I just used from the Amazing Casting, but I'm going to be trying a different brand here soon. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some clear liquid patina. And if you wanted to, you could use a Mod Podge, just any kind of sealer. And I'm going to put that right in the center where our photos are going to be going. Just one good layer and let that dry. Now I've got the Santa's Hollow from IOD, and this has got a lot of beautiful Christmassy transfers. They've got a vintagey feel to them. I just really love this transfer book. And I really loved these images here at the top, so I am going to trim those out. And I'll also be using some images out of the Kitschy Christmas. Once I've got all my transfers selected, I just kind of try to figure out which frames I'm going to be placing these on. And I just kind of lay them over top. I do have a tendency to forget. But these birds are gorgeous. I've also got a rabbit on this other one. I mean, I just think they're gorgeous. So I am just going to go ahead and transfer all of my images. Some fit perfectly. Some are a little bit larger than the area inside the center of these frames. So I have to kind of use my fingernail, or I'll use my little transfer stick here and just kind of go around and not rub too hard on the areas I feel I'm going to have to pull back up. And any parts that kind of overlapped, I'll use my little X-Acto knife to trim a little off. Now, it's kind of difficult to do it this way because those transfers are extremely sticky. So if you can trim it enough prior to placing it down, that is always better. Okay, so once I've got all of those on, I'm going to grab the Color Iron Gate from Heirloom Traditions. Any kind of black would work. I am using one that has a built-in sealer, and I'm going to paint all of my frames in this color, including the back sides. Okay, so once those have dried, I have got Silverleaf in the Rub and Buff. And I'm just going to take a little on my finger. I don't want I don't want it too thick. It becomes a little more difficult to work with if it's too thick on your finger. So just kind of blot it off a little bit. And I'm just going to rub over where I painted black. And would you look how this is coming out? Oh my goodness. I am in love with these. They are so pretty. And I'm going to do this to all of them with the exception of one. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the color Antique Gold. This is a metallic luxe paint from Paint Couture. And that is what I'm going to dip on my finger and rub over this one with a little bunny. I just really wanted to see how it would look in the gold. The silver is by far my favorite. They are beautiful. And along the inside, closest to where the photo is, it was just too difficult for me to get my finger in there. So I just grabbed a little bitty paintbrush and applied that in those sections and any other section that I felt just needed a little bit more. Now, once those have dried, I've got the color Garnet from Paint Couture. This is an acrylic mineral paint. It does have a built-in sealer, and you know, I am really liking their paints, but this little round ornament has these little bulbs, and I wanted to go ahead and paint those in this beautiful color red. And also, to let you guys know, I did take my Crocodile, and right after I release these castings from their molds, I did go ahead and stamp a hole. I went ahead and made a hole on the very tops, so we had something to hang a hanger onto. I also put one of those little red dots on the top of the larger frames, like the one I am putting this brown sugar glaze into. You can see that little red dot. So there were just some spots on the frames. So, don't be afraid to add a little bit of detail, add a little bit of color. But I am taking the brown sugar glaze, and all along our transfers, I am going to apply this. It's going to give it a little more of a vintage feel. I didn't want that white so bright because these are vintage inspired, and it will also seal in our transfers. So let's move on to our ornament number 4, which are going to be working with these wood slices. I've got these transfers from Brandy at the DIY Struggle. This is from her TDS Creative, which can be found at the DIYstruggle.com if you're interested. And she's got these here, and they are perfect for anything round. So I was like, you know what? I've got to use these up. So let's make some ornaments to sell. So the first thing, I'm just going to kind of wipe away the tops. They tend to get really dusty because that wood tends to flake around the sides and just get everywhere. So I just brush those off. Then I'm going to take a white all-in-one paint and paint the tops of all of my wood slices.
Okay, so I went ahead and I cut out the ones that I want to use. And I was debating on if I should change the color for the ones with the letters or the words. If you're using a chalk paint, you're going to want to seal your paint. It'll make it easier to get your transfers on, I have found anyway. So I'm going to rub those on and I'll be right back. I'll get rid of some of this dog hair. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this the easy way. I'm sorry about the mess, guys. I've got a terrible mess going on here. Okay, so I'm just going to cut me some jute string. I got a plain wood bead, and then we've got some of these little bows that come from the little Christmas from Hobby Lobby. Okay, so so we'll tie it like that. Go ahead and string the bead in there. Before I secure a knot on the top of that, I'm going to grab one of these bows, a little piece of jute string. I'm going to remove this and replace it with the jute string. Oh, did that look better? Alright, so double knot that, and then I am simply going to tie it on the back of this, or on this jute string here. Okay, before I knot that, let's go ahead and put our knot, and then get that tight, knot it, trim out that excess. It's just a lot of knots.
Now for these ornaments, you got a lot of negative space between the transfer and the edge of the wood slice, so I'm just going to take some Snow Tech and go around that. And the more you work with the Snow Tech, the easier it is to use, I'm telling you. And I just bought another bottle, so I should be good for the next couple of years. And once I get that finished, I'm going to grab some white glitter and just kind of sprinkle it on top of that Snow Tech. In my opinion, it just gives it more of an icy appearance, making it look a little bit more realistic as far as snow. And as far as the other ones with all the poinsettias, I am going to leave those as is, just add my hanger with a different bow. It's the same way we just did these. And this video will be concluded, so let's take a look here. Look at how pretty these turned out. I really love them. These sold. These beautiful farmhouse looking wood slices. These did not sell, but I'm confident that they will. They're so pretty. These beautiful ornate ornaments, like I said, it's not going to be for everybody because of the colors, but they did sell. And all of these sold. Actually had a lot of people really love them. So I am making some more. I'm going to put in my next Christmas show on Whatnot. And then these other wood slices that we're going to get to with the poinsettias. They did not sell yet, but you guys have a wonderful week. And oh, these also sold. But you guys have a great week, and I hope to see you again real soon. My next video is probably going to be an upcycled, just a real quick one, and then I'm going to have more ornaments because I cannot get enough of the ornaments. So bye-bye.